Top 5 non-endgame couples of all time. So guys, before I begin this video, realize that I may have not seen every single show that you guys have seen, and I may leave a couple couples out. That was funny, couple couples. I may leave some ships out that really deserve to be on this list, but I just don't really know about. So if there are any ships or you have a totally different 5 that deserve to be on this list, please let me know in the comment section. But let's go ahead and begin. My number 5, I'm going to have to give it a split between Lucaya and Arkle. Mainly these two, because when it came to Girl Meets World, they were the two most popular ships on the show, and they were the two ships that had the most chemistry. And you can argue which ship had the better chemistry. I mean, both sides are pretty debatable. But when it came to these two ships, I only shipped really one of them, and that was Arkle, not so much Lucaya. But I mean, I was happy that Rukus was in game, if they were in game. But it seemed like Lucaya and Arkle deserved to be in game. The fact that they didn't earn it, I mean, it was just flat out garbage that these two ships were not. I mean, they really were overlooked, to be real. It's not really Lucaya, but really like Arkle when it came to non-platonic love. But I mean, come on, guys. But for my number 4, I'm gonna have to give it to Jeremy and Bonnie from The Vampire Diaries. Mainly because when I first saw this show, I always felt like these two should have been together, because they were playing the role of minor characters, but both of these characters were really important when it came to the cast, especially in the first 4 seasons. But when these two finally got together in season 2, I believe, or probably the beginning of season 3, I mean, it was a relief for me, because I always felt like they should have been together. And Enzo was really good for Bonnie, but I feel like when it came to Bonnie, that Jeremy should have ended up together. And the fact that they didn't, I mean, I don't know, it was just flat out garbage to me. So for my number 3, I'm gonna have to give it to Sean and Topanga from Boy Meets World. And I mean, when it came to these two, their love was just as epic and significant as Corey and Topanga's. I mean, I feel like these two had more chemistry, or just as much chemistry as Corey and Topanga did on Boy Meets World. And thank you to Girl Meets World for ruining everything, because you had these two married 2 separate people when you could have made an epic love story, or you could have solidified it with your show. But instead, you ruined it. Thank you very much. But number 2, not only is my second favorite non-endgame couple, but it's actually my second favorite ship of all time. And that goes to Stelena from The Vampire Diaries. I mean, people always say that the first 3 seasons of The Vampire Diaries were the best. And I totally agree, because the first 3 seasons, the love of Stefan and Elena just made your heart, it warmed your heart up. I mean, and Delena fans always say that Damon did just as much for Elena as Stefan did. Don't get me wrong, Damon did a lot of things for Elena, but when it came to Stefan, he sacrificed and did so much for Elena that, I mean, it won me over to their ship. I mean, if you watch The Vampire Diaries, you know that when you're compelled, you really can't fight that. I mean, when you're compelled to do something, you have to do it because you're under a spell to do it. And the fact that Stefan fought that when Klaus tried to compel him to hurt Elena was really what solidified me for getting behind this ship. I mean, I could make a whole separate video of why these two should have been in game. But I mean, I have one more ship to go over. But when it comes to Stelena, it's probably my second favorite ship of all time. And the fact that these two did not end up being together, I mean, I know they ended up being really great friends, but the fact that these two did not end up together, I mean, it makes me want to go punch something, be real. And the fact that these, like you're gonna realize, it seems like season 4 is always the worst season for my ships, which you're gonna realize in my number 1. But I mean, the fact that these two broke up in season 4, at the beginning of season 4, I mean, I was hurt, man. I didn't even want to eat that day. I mean, I was throwing stuff around in my room, stomping, throwing tantrums. I mean, these two breaking up must have been the worst day of my life when it comes to watching television shows. I mean, it was one of the worst moments on television for me. And the fact that these two were not in game, flat out garbage. I mean, but Okay, I gotta stop before I get too emotional. Let's move on to number one. And last but most certainly not least, my number one non-endgame couple and my favorite ship of all time has to go to Brooke and Brucus from One Tree Hill. I mean, from the very beginning when I started watching One Tree Hill, when these two began to talk, I immediately fell in love with this ship. I mean, and the fact that these two were ruined by Peyton Sawyer not once but twice totally made me hate her character, and that is for another video. But I mean, we all know why they broke up the first time, because, you know, Peyton and Lucas were sneaking around behind Brooke's back. And the fact that Lucas went back to her for a second time because he knew the mistake he made and that he still loved Brooke really kind of sealed the deal for me, because if you go back to someone after you just did that to them, Lucas knew the mistake that he made. He knew he hurt Brooke. And the fact that he went back to her really shows how much he truly loved her, and that the mistake with Peyton was just that, a mistake. There were no real feelings for Peyton. The fact that the writers changed that storyline and tried to act like there were feelings there, I mean, it just totally, it's flat out garbage. I mean, there was no chemistry between Peyton and Lucas. When you, the number one couple on One Tree Hill, even though they're not in game, is Brooke and Lucas. And you really can't argue. I mean, I've not seen every show, but I can win any argument or make a good argument by saying that Brooke and Lucas are the number one non-endgame couple of all time. I mean, the magic between these two just totally, I don't know. The fact that these two did not end up together totally broke me. I'm going to be real with you guys. And I hate, season 4 was the season that they broke up. I mean, see, just like Stelena, season 4 is just a bad season for me with my ships for some reason. And I had to spend the next 5 seasons realizing that Brooke and Lucas were never going to be together. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I have not seen every single show that you guys have seen. So if there are any couples that I did not mention that you felt should have been in this video that are non-endgame, please let me know in the comment section. And for more top 5 videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching.